Please, yeah, question.
Yeah, just to follow up, and I'm really glad to hear these stories. Because one thing I've always believed as a job skill is resourcefulness, right?
Yes.
Because whether it's studying the language and you only know those 10 verbs, as we heard earlier, right, in the first panel, you have to be resourceful and quick on your feet and thinking, how can I express, and you talk around this, find another way. Same thing with the culture, you have to be resourceful, and I've always believed that to be a job skill. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't. It doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. There's a lot of scientific stuff happening in the workplace now about maybe taking these tests and then find out if you're an introvert or an extrovert. Well, you know, some people might call me an extrovert, but in some cases I'm more introverted. I want to process something first. But you're absolutely right. Being thrust into a situation, whether it be on a line or I don't know, in a customer service job, the acuity and the speed, and to be able to take what you've learned from a knowledge and behavioral based approach and implement that through your work is profound. I mean, if the quicker you can do that out of college, I wish it didn't take so long for me to figure that out. But you know, when you're 20s and you're in Europe, there's a lot of other things you want to do besides work, and travel is one of them. But absolutely, I think that's a great analysis of.
How is that exhibited? How do you see that in people you're hiring, you're interviewing? How can you see that at a glance?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how much you guys actually interview, but typically in Bulgaria, I'll give you an example. So we hire in Bulgaria, okay? So for every job position we post, we usually have anywhere from 60 to 100 people who send us their CV, and probably we call in about 10 or 15. And here's how we figure out real quickly who we're dealing with. We give them a problem. Okay, so we give them a real life business problem that we just encountered. And believe me, when you're in the training space and software development space, you come up with problems every day. So we actually give them a problem. We ask them a few questions to understand and know a little bit about them personally. We do a little bit of behavioral based interviewing. You might want to Google that. I think it's a great idea to help understand what people are going to be asking you. They're going to ask you about scenarios. A lot of interviewing now is scenario-based, behavior-based. What if how would you react to that? We do some of that because I'm an American and we have to do that. But then we give them a problem and we say, come back in a week with a solution. And sometimes we'll have 2 or 3 people out of the 10 or 20 say, you know what, you're not paying me. Why am I going to do work? And they're automatically gone, right? Because they're not willing to go ahead and invest a little bit of time, because when we invest in them and the way the Bulgarian laws are written, I'm stuck with them for a year. Okay? And if I'm not, then I got to get a lawyer and I got to get, it's hard to get rid of people. That's the wrong word to say. Check that. It's hard to let people go.
Don't worry, we're not videos.
Okay, good. It's hard to let people go in former communist countries. Just so you know, I'm not sure how it is in Romania, but it is like difficult. So they come to the table a week later with a solution. Now, a lot of times we don't even know what the solution is, right? We're still working it out. They don't know that. So we take a look and we say, how did you get from point A to point B? And some people say, well, I didn't get only from point A to point B. I got to C and D. And is this what you guys did? Okay, so my engineer comes back and says, holy cow, we just have our solution. And I'm like, oh, we didn't pay for it either, did we? That's just the business side of it. And that person gets a 30-day trial with us, and then after that. So we actually do. And I don't think you can do that in the States yet. I don't think we can do that kind of, here's your homework. Probably could at the college level, but we give them tasks, and it's task-based on how they respond to that. Not only in personality, but in responsibility. Even if they didn't get it wrong, even if they didn't get it right, or if it was way whacked off, they use some creativity to come up with a solution to that problem. That's one of the things we have to do, because programs are a dime a dozen in some countries, and we don't want the dozen, we want the one.
So I have a follow-up question, or maybe kind of expanding on the same question. In America, when you don't have a chance to do something like that, how do you differentiate between somebody who's a good interviewer and somebody who actually has the skills that you want?
I think there are a lot of ways in which you can find out, what they did with you, just bring somebody with some language skills and just surprise him. I mean, I've been in that situation too, so I think that's a way to do it. Many companies today test their people before they walk in. It's one of the requirements you have to score certain level in this language, before you can be accepted. For translations, I've always been tested in this country, so I'm not surprised about that. They always send a sample, we send it out. That's something I try to implement in my department as well. Because, when you're making an investment in somebody and they tell you they do this, and this, I'm not bad faith or anything like that, but you need to test those skills out. Because, it's very easy to put things on paper, but to show them later on, that's where you need to shine.
One of the things we do is references. When we are hiring a person, we definitely check the references. I take time to call. I've called people in Europe just because the candidate was from Europe. I mean, I've called people and I've talked to them to understand. I mean, I'm just not, if somebody just gives me, oh, this is my uncle, that's not the reference I'm looking for. I want to see where they have worked, how long they have worked, and I want to talk to that person personally and see what they are saying. So that's one of the things, how we can find out. One of the things, if they have not fared well in that company, normally they don't give that company as a reference. So we kind of know who they have given as reference, how long have they worked. So some of those things you can make out whether what they're saying is true or whether they're just a good interviewee. That's the term you use, and that's how we can make out. We will similarly, we will ask a scenario and say, how do you handle this situation? And so we definitely go into that depth. And again, most of these days, and I don't know if you would have probably gone into interview. And most of these days, interviews are not just one-on-one interview. You normally have a team of people asking the interviewee. So it's not just one person. So when we are interviewing, we are feeding off of each other, even within our company. One person asks one question, and that'll give me something else for me to ask. So that gives us the information we are looking for.
Oh, please.
I recently went and visited Principal Financial Group with the Finance Club, and I was just wondering, how wide a variety of positions there are for people's language skills, specifically in Spanish?
That's a very good question. I know they're always looking for people with language skills in different departments. Remember that it's not only Principal, we have Principal International. So that's a department that it's always looking for people with skills. If you're interested overseas, you can go to the careers, Principal.com careers, and you will be able to find a list of countries searching for that, our international offices. So there's many options. Depends where you start. Call center to go international. Assets, it depends. Principal funds, pretty sure we have some too. So there's going to be a lot. Luckily for you, we're in Iowa, there's not much.
Well, we've sort of come to close. Maybe one last quick question.
Maybe one last question, technical question, but it might not be the case in your companies. I was reading yesterday's survey, it says like employees usually spend less than 16 seconds per resume to read. It might not be the case in your companies, maybe I don't know how many applications you get. But what are the major things you do? You're looking at a glance very quickly. If it is the case where you spend 15 or 16 seconds on the resume.
The best way to get to me is use your network. That's why I talked about LinkedIn a little bit. That holds anybody who knows somebody or is bringing somebody to me will get my full attention. Either side of the pond, and so build a network now. Start it, whether it's with a professor. You've got some great professors here that know a lot of people. ISU is highly respected. So that's the first thing I would do. As far as resumes coming in, it depends on the hiring season. For us, we might get 1,000 for 2 to 4 jobs. And I don't even see them because my office managers are taking a look, my project managers are taking a look at those. and they'll tell me, hey, do you remember so-and-so? His sister, helped you do this. And there's a lot of that, just because there's a personal connection. So I use my network more than anything, or that people get to me through my network more than anything.
Okay, well, please help me thank all of our panelists. Thank you, everybody.